Hello and welcome back to the Deep Dive. Today we're doing something a little different than our usual format.
Yeah, we are.
Usually, we are dissecting the external world. So a tech breakthrough or some geopolitical shift, maybe a really dense piece of economic research, we usually look out at the horizon.
Right. We look at things happening out there.
Exactly, out there. But today we're turning the lens inward. We are looking at the very tool we use to process, to understand, and basically communicate everything else.
We're looking at language.
Language.
And it's a really fascinating pivot, I think. And just to be totally clear right up front, we aren't talking about, the cat sat on the mat kind of grammar here.
No, definitely not.
We aren't talking about spelling bees or basic syntax. We are looking at a very specific, a very rarefied tier of English proficiency.
The C2 level.
Exactly, the C2 level.
Oh.
It's known as the summit of language learning.
And I have to be totally honest with you, when I first opened the source material for this deep dive.
Which is a really great masterclass right now.
Yeah, it's from the Learning English podcast hosted by Emma and John. And when I first looked at it, I had this moment of hesitation. I really did.
Because it's a vocabulary list.
Right. I thought, okay, a vocabulary list? Are we really going to spend all this time talking about synonyms? Like, how gripping can a thesaurus actually be?
It's a fair question. I mean, the dictionary isn't exactly considered a page turner for most people.
Right, exactly.
Yeah.
But then I started reading their definitions. I started looking at the way Emma and John actually frame these words.
They don't just treat them as labels.
No, they don't.
Yeah.
They frame them not just as tools for description, but as tools for thought.
That's the key right there.
And I realized we aren't talking about memorizing words to pass a standardized test. We are talking about the difference between painting with a box of 4 basic crayons, red, blue, green, yellow.
And painting with a massive studio full of oils and pastels and gradients.
Yes, perfect analogy. It changes the picture completely.
The source material actually makes this distinction very early on. They point out that there is survival English and then there is mastery.
Survival English.
Right. So survival English is purely functional. It's I am hungry. Where is the train station? I am tired.
The basics.
It gets the job done and it keeps you alive in a foreign environment. But it doesn't allow you to be you.
And that's the kicker, isn't it? If your language is limited, your personality is limited.
Or at least the version of your personality that the rest of the world gets to interact with.
Exactly. So the mission of this deep dive today, based on Emma and John's masterclass, is to extract a specific toolkit from their work.
A toolkit for precision.
Right. It's not just a toolkit for sounding smart, although, that is a nice side effect, of course.
It definitely is.
But it's really about what the source calls emotional intelligence through language.
I want to pause on that phrase. Emotional intelligence through language.
Yeah, let's dig into that, because usually when we hear emotional intelligence, we think of empathy or, being able to read a room.
We don't necessarily think of it as just having a large vocabulary.
We don't. But the source argues that we should.
Because if you think about it, if you can't actually name a feeling, can you truly process that feeling?
Right.
If you can't describe the specific tiny nuance of a situation, can you truly understand what you're in the middle of?
It's like you don't have the bucket to hold the water.
Exactly. The source argues that C2 proficiency changes the way you sound, sure, but more importantly, it changes the way you perceive the world.
It allows you to notice things that were previously invisible.
Because you didn't have a label for them before.
Which is basically the Samper-Whorf hypothesis, right? Mm-hmm. The idea that the language we speak literally shapes the thoughts we are capable of having.
It is exactly that, but applied to your mundane daily life. And the experts, Emma and John, really emphasize that this isn't about complexity just for the sake of being complex.
Oh, right, which is a trap a lot of smart people actually fall into.
Using a $10 word when a 5-cent word will do the job perfectly well.
Just a flex. It's the whole corporate synergy effect. Using massive words to say absolutely nothing of value.
Precisely. That is not C2. That is obfuscation. True C2 level, according to our source material, is about clarity.
High-resolution communication.
Yes. Choosing the exact word that completely eliminates the need for 3 paragraphs of clumsy explanation.
So we aren't trying to confuse people with big words. We are trying to hand them a pair of high-definition glasses.
That is the goal of the masterclass.
Okay, well, let's unpack this toolkit then. We have a solid stack of words here from the source. And the way they've structured this is super interesting. It's a journey.
It moves in stages.
Right. We start with the mundane, so the daily emotions, and then we climb up into professional intellect. And finally, we end up way up in the stratosphere with these huge abstract concepts of growth and beauty.
It's a very logical progression. It mirrors the human experience, honestly. We live in the daily grind, we work in the professional sphere, and we dream in the abstract.
So let's start on the ground floor, the daily upgrade.
Let's do it.
The source material brings up perhaps the most common, most robotic interaction in the English language. It's the elevator pitch of social niceties.
How was your day?
How was your day? And the standard answer is almost always exactly the same.
It was good. Or it was fine.
It was good.
Yeah.
It's a total conversation killer, isn't it? It's just a wall.
It is a wall because it's so generic. Think about it. A pizza can be good.
A nap can be good.
A dog can be a good boy.
Yeah.
When you apply that exact same word to your entire existence for the last 12 hours, you are essentially telling the listener that absolutely nothing of note happened.
I am on autopilot.
Exactly. Don't look any closer.
So the source suggests a shift here. It's a subtle one, but one that carries a lot of weight. Instead of saying it was a good day, what if you said it was a fulfilling day?
Fulfilling. Now let's really dig into that. Why does that feel so different to you?
Well, just saying it out loud, it feels fuller. It feels rounder.
Psychologically, it actually shifts the entire focus from hedonic pleasure to eudaimonic well-being.
Meaning what, exactly?
Meaning hedonic is just asking, was it fun? Was it easy? But eudaimonic asks, did it have purpose?
Okay.
Fulfilling implies a vessel being filled up. It implies that you engaged with the day, you put effort into it, and the day actually gave something back to you.
It implies agency.
Yeah.
Because good is just something that happens to you, right? Like the weather was good.
Exactly.
But fulfilling feels like something you actively participated in.
As Emma points out in the Masterclass, it implies satisfaction derived from purpose.
So if I tell you my day was fulfilling, you instantly know that I worked on something that matters to me.
Right. And you might ask, oh, what did you accomplish? Whereas if I just say it was good, you just say nice and we completely move on.
It invites the follow-up question. It literally opens the door.
It signals to whoever you're talking to that the speaker is awake at the wheel of their own life.
Now, on the flip side of a fulfilling day, sometimes you aren't fulfilling anything. Sometimes you are just totally beaten down.
And the basic word here is tired. I'm tired.
Which, again, we just ignore completely. I'm tired is just the background noise of modern adulthood.
Everyone is tired.
But the source offers an upgrade here that I think is incredibly useful, especially for avoiding that boy who cried wolf scenario where no one believes you anymore.
Right.
Instead of saying I'm tired, try saying I'm drained.
Drained, it's a hydraulic metaphor.
It sounds like a sink where the plug has just been pulled out.
Or a battery. And that's the key distinction the source makes. Tired can just mean you need a quick nap.
It's physical. I went for a run, so I'm tired.
But drained, that suggests a complete depletion of resources.
It feels much more systemic.
It is. The source explains that drained implies you have no energy left whatsoever. And crucially, it often points to emotional or mental exhaustion.
Which is so common now.
You can be physically fine sitting in a comfortable chair all day, but be absolutely drained because you had to fire someone, or you had to navigate a really complex negotiation.
It's interesting you mention that because in psychology, there's this concept of ego depletion. The idea that willpower is a finite resource, like a literal fuel tank.
And when it's empty, you make bad decisions. You snap at people.
Exactly. And tired doesn't capture that level of danger.
But drained does. If you tell your partner I'm tired, they might still expect you to do the dishes or help with the kids.
Right.
If you say I am drained, you are sending a very clear signal. My tank is empty. I have nothing left to give today.
It sets a firm boundary.
It invites empathy, too.
Yeah.
It describes the actual severity of your internal state. It stops you from being, as the kids say, an NPC in your own life.
A non-playable character.
Right. It gives your experience texture.
Okay, so we've upgraded our basic state of being. We are fulfilled or we are drained. Now let's dial up the volume a bit. Let's talk about precision and intensity.
This is a massive part of C2 English, and it's where, honestly, most learners and even a lot of native speakers get incredibly lazy.
Lazy how?
We love our qualifiers.
Qualifiers, like very.
Very. Really. Super. We just stack them in front of basic words to try and force them to be stronger.
I was very, very, very angry.
It's exactly.
I am definitely guilty of that. It feels like if I add enough veries, you'll finally understand how mad I actually am.
But the paradox is, the more varies you add, the weaker the sentence actually becomes.
It sounds kind of desperate.
It does. The source challenges us to strip away the very and use the specific word for that exact intensity level.
So instead of very angry, we go to F.
Furious.
Furious. It just sounds angry, doesn't it? Just that harsh F sound.
It's a fricative sound. You almost have to spit it out. Furious.
It actually reminds me of the Furies in Greek mythology, the spirits of vengeance.
That is the etymology. It comes from the Latin furia, meaning rage or frenzy.
Wow.
And that's the precise nuance John notes in the source material. Angry can be totally rational.
You can be angry about a tax policy change.
Right. But furious implies a complete loss of control. It paints a vivid picture of someone shaking red-faced, totally consumed by the emotion.
It implies a temperature difference. Angry is hot, but furious is boiling over.
Exactly. And when you use it, you command attention in a room.
If you say, I'm angry about the report, your boss might just nod and say, duly noted.
But if you say, I am furious about the report, the entire room goes quiet.
What about the happy side of the spectrum? We have very happy.
Which is nice, but it's bland. The C2 upgrade is elated.
Elated. It sounds so much lighter.
It literally means lifted out. It comes from the Latin ex meaning out and latus meaning carried.
Lifted out.
It's that feeling of being carried away by pure joy, floating above the ground.
That is a really beautiful image. So happy is grounded, you're just walking along.
But elated is airborne.
Right. You are happy you found $5 in your coat pocket. But you are elated when your first child is born or you finally get that promotion you worked 5 years for.
Exactly. The word itself carries the elevation.
And for the opposite end, very sad.
Devastated.
Oof. Now that is a heavy, heavy word. Devastated.
It really is. Think about the root of that one. Vaster. It means to lay waste, to make empty.
Wow.
It's a word we typically use for landscapes after a massive hurricane or a bomb goes off. The city was devastated.
And we take that word and apply it to a human being.
That is the power of it. You are telling the listener, my internal landscape has been completely leveled. Every single thing has been knocked down.
This is where precision can be kind of dangerous, though, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because if I say I'm devastated that my coffee got cold...
Then you are a drama queen.
Right.
And worse, you actually erode the meaning of the word for everyone else. If you constantly use C2 words for C1 problems, people just stop listening to you.
The boy who cried wolf again.
Exactly. But if you save devastated for true grief, a terrible breakup, a death, a massive life failure,
then the word does all the heavy lifting for you.
You don't need to explain how sad you are. The word carries the full weight of the trauma.
There is one more word in this intensity section that I really liked because I think it involves the element of storytelling.
Which one?
Moving from surprised to astonished.
Oh, astonished. This is one of my absolute favorites from the Masterclass.
Why is that?
Because surprised is totally neutral. You can be surprised by a sudden tax bill in the mail. That's not a fun surprise.
No, it's not.
But astonished almost always implies a profound sense of wonder. And the etymology is just great here, too. It comes from the Latin tonar, meaning thunder.
Thunder.
To be astonished is to be thunderstruck.
Literally struck by thunder.
To be turned to stone by a loud noise or a sudden incredible flash of light.
That paints such a vivid picture in my head. Surprised is just a reaction. You jump.
But astonished is a paralysis. You are completely frozen by what you are witnessing.
So if you tell me you were astonished by a theater performance, I know it didn't just meet your basic expectations.
It blew your mind. It stopped you dead in your tracks.
Using these words really makes the speaker sound more polished, doesn't it?
Yeah.
More capable of experiencing wonder.
It shows you have a deep capacity for feeling.
Okay, so we have intensity down. We are thunderstruck. We are floating. We're boiling over. Let's get into the weeds now.
The nuances.
Yes. This next section is about nuance and character. And this is where the source material really shines for me in distinguishing between words that I honestly always thought were just direct synonyms.
This is the ultimate danger zone for intermediate language learners.
How so?
You open a thesaurus, you see two words listed right next to each other, and you just assume they're perfectly interchangeable.
Right.
But in C2 English, they rarely ever are. Context is literally everything.
The big example the Masterclass gives here is brave versus courageous.
Yes. If you ask most people on the street, they will tell you those are exactly the same thing.
Just having no fear.
Or acting in spite of fear,
Yeah.
right? But Emma and John break down a very specific, crucial nuance here.
What is that main distinction?
According to the source, brave often describes short, very specific actions. It can actually be quite impulsive.
So if a dog falls into a fast river and I immediately jump in to save it without thinking that is brave.
Yes. It's an event. It's a single moment in time. You might be shaking afterwards on the riverbank. You might not have even thought about the risk.
Bravery is often just a reflex.
Exact.
Okay, and courageous.
Courageous describes a consistent character trait. It implies a long-term state of being. And here is where the etymology helps us again. Courage comes from cor, which is the Latin word for heart.
Hearts.
It implies something deeply internal, something deep-seated in your values. It's not just a quick reaction to a snake jumping out of the grass. It is the ability to endure hardship over time.
Wow, that completely changes how I think about giving compliments.
How so?
So a firefighter rushing into a burning building to save someone,
Yeah.
that is an incredible act of bravery.
Yes.
But a whistleblower who stands up to a corrupt multinational corporation for 3 years, they lose their job, they lose their friends, their reputation is smeared, but they stay the course. That is courageous.
Precisely. Bravery is a spark, but courage is a slow burn. Bravery is a 100-meter sprint. Courage is a marathon.
That is a really helpful way to look at it.
I do.
It matters, right? Because if you call the whistleblower brave, you're almost diminishing the duration of their suffering.
You are.
You're making it sound like they just had one quick moment of guts rather than 1,000 mornings of waking up and choosing to keep fighting.
Exactly. You are missing the endurance aspect entirely. Precision allows you to actually honor the reality of the person you are describing.
The source also applies this nuance filter to describing change. We always talk about big changes in our lives.
We do. We made a big change to the company website. I made a big change to my daily diet.
But big is just a measurement of size.
It's not a measurement of impact. The C2 upgrade they suggest here is drastic.
Drastic. It sounds almost medical.
It creates a sense of immediate severity. Drastic comes from a Greek root meaning to act or to do, but in modern English, it has evolved to imply something extreme, harsh, or very vigorous.
Like taking drastic measures.
Exactly. You don't take drastic measures to fix a slightly leaky faucet. You take drastic measures to stop a catastrophic flood.
So if a CEO stands up and says, we are making big changes to the sales department, that could just mean everyone is getting new ergonomic desk chairs.
Right. But if she stands up and says, we are making drastic changes to the department,
I should probably go update my resume immediately.
Yes, you should. Drastic implies serious consequences. It implies that things will fundamentally not be the same afterwards.
It applies major surgery, not just slapping a bandage on it.
Exactly.
And for describing people, the source warns against the dreaded word good again.
She is a good student. He is a good employee.
It's the highest praise that somehow sounds completely average.
It is the participation trophy of English adjectives. The Masterclass upgrade here is exceptional or outstanding.
She is an exceptional student.
Think about the actual word, exception. It means she breaks the standard rule. She is not part of the norm at all.
Yet outstanding.
Literally standing out. If you look at a long line of people, she is the one taking a step forward.
It's all about the bell curve, isn't it? Good puts you right in the fat middle part of the bell curve with everyone else. Exceptional puts you in the top 1%.
And using these specific words elevates your own speech as well. As Emma notes in the source, it makes the sentence sound elegant.
It does.
But it also makes you sound like a person who actually has high standards.
Oh, that's an interesting point.
If you call everyone you meet good, your praise eventually means nothing to anyone.
Right.
If you reserve exceptional only for the truly great people, your compliments have real currency.
I love that. Inflation is real in language, too.
It certainly is. If you print too much praise, the value drops.
All right, let's move upstairs now. We are leaving the personal daily life and entering the boardroom.
Oh.
This is the intellectual toolkit section of the masterclass.
This is the vocabulary you want to bring to a tense negotiation, a structured debate, or a really deep philosophical discussion.
This is how you sound wise, mature, and totally objective.
Yes.
The first word here is a heavy hitter. Inevitable.
Inevitable. Certain to happen. Completely unavoidable.
The source gives examples like delayed meetings or flooding after heavy rain. But I feel like this word is so often used as a shield in the business world.
Oh, absolutely. It is a favorite defense mechanism of executives everywhere.
Right. The layoffs were inevitable.
Notice what that does. It completely removes human agency. It removes the word I from the equation.
Yes.
If I say, I made a massive mistake in the budget and now we have to fire 50 people, that is extremely vulnerable.
And you take the blame.
But if I say, given the macroeconomic market conditions, the restructuring was inevitable.
Wow.
I am shifting all the blame to the universe. I am aligning my corporate decision with the fundamental laws of physics.
It frames the event as a force of nature. It was inevitable that the software project would fail.
It makes you sound incredibly authoritative. It sounds like you have carefully analyzed all the complex variables, and this was the single only possible mathematical outcome.
So it's a power word.
It is entirely a power word. It asserts that you fully understand the hidden cause and effect machinery of the world. It frames you as the ultimate realist.
Then we have a word that I think creates a ton of trouble for early learners, but advanced speakers absolutely love it.
Which is?
Ambiguous.
Ambiguous, meaning unclear or having more than one possible meaning.
Now, why is this considered a good C2 word? In business, isn't pure clarity always the goal? If I give an ambiguous financial presentation, I'm probably getting fired.
True. You generally don't want to be ambiguous in your own output, but you want to be highly capable of identifying ambiguity in the world.
Ah, I see.
Advanced speakers love the word ambiguous because the real world is almost rarely black and white.
Right.
Most complex situations are very gray. To say something is ambiguous is to show that you have a very high personal tolerance for complexity.
So instead of a junior employee saying, I just don't get it, this is really confusing, which makes you look a bit slow.
A senior executive looks at the same spreadsheet and says, the data is ambiguous.
Ah, that is brilliant. The data is ambiguous. It makes it sound like the data itself is at fault, or that the market situation is just incredibly nuanced.
Exactly. You elevate the confusion into an intellectual observation. Or take a piece of art like a movie ending.
The source actually uses the example of an open-ended movie.
Right. If the screen suddenly goes black, and you don't know if the main hero lived or died.
And you say, well, that was a really confusing ending.
You sound like a child who needs the entire plot spoon-fed to them.
But if I walk out of the theater and say the director's ending was quite ambiguous,
then you sound like a sophisticated film critic.
Right.
You are acknowledging that the lack of narrative clarity was an intentional artistic choice. You are engaging with the uncertainty intellectually rather than just being annoyed that you didn't get a neat resolution.
It really is the difference between saying I am lost and saying I am exploring.
Perfectly put, exploring sounds intentional.
Let's look at the depth of impact next. The source brings up the word profound.
A truly beautiful word, meaning deep, powerful, and heavily meaningful.
That documentary had a profound impact on me. Or her advice to me was profound.
The etymology here is really helpful to understand the weight of it, too. It's from pro, meaning before, and fundus, meaning bottom.
Like the word fundament.
Exactly. It literally means getting all the way to the bottom of things, hitting the bedrock.
So deep is quite literally the translation.
Yes. When you say an experience is profound, you are saying it isn't just skimming the surface. It goes all the way down to your core.
The expert analysis in the Masterclass says that this word instantly makes the speaker sound wise and mature. Why exactly does it do that?
Because it signals to the listener that the speaker thinks deeply about their own life experiences.
They reflect.
Right, you aren't just floating on the surface of life. You are letting things hit your bedrock.
It suggests you have a rich inner life.
Shallow people don't have profound experiences. They just have fun ones.
Right. You wouldn't say this fast food cheeseburger is profound.
I mean, you could, but you'd be using extreme hyperbole for comedic effect.
Or you're just really, really into cheeseburgers.
True. But generally profound is strictly reserved for art, philosophy, love, extreme loss. Things that fundamentally change your architecture.
So we've got the intellectual side mapped out. We're navigating the inevitable. We are analyzing the ambiguous, and we are feeling the profound.
Right, do next.
Now, the source takes a sharp turn into mindset and growth. This feels heavily like the self-help section of the dictionary.
It does sound like that, but these are undeniably crucial words.
They are.
They are the words we use to describe the narrative of our own success, and how we tell that story to ourselves and others really matters.
The first word in this section is resilient.
Resilient.
We hear this word absolutely everywhere right now. Resilient supply chains, a resilient economy. We need to raise resilient kids.
It is definitely the corporate buzzword of the decade. But look closely at the actual definition. Able to recover quickly from difficulty.
Okay.
It comes from the Latin resiliere, meaning to recoil or to rebound.
So it's originally a material science word, like describing a metal spring.
Exactly. If you bend a cheap piece of metal and it snaps in half, it's brittle.
Right.
If it bends under intense pressure but then snaps right back to its original shape, it is resilient.
So when we take that and apply it to a person, we are saying they have high elasticity. They don't break permanently under pressure.
And then we have its partner word right next to it, perseverance.
Perseverance, determination, never giving up, even when things are incredibly tough.
I feel like these two words get used interchangeably all the time, but the expert in the masterclass makes a really nice, precise connection here.
They aren't the same.
No, they are two sides of the exact same coin, but they operate very differently in practice.
How so? Break that down for me.
Think of resilient as your immediate reaction to the hit. You get knocked flat on your back and you bounce back up to your feet. That is resilience.
It's all about the recovery.
Yes. Perseverance is the forward motion that happens after. You are walking through waist-deep mud.
You haven't been knocked down necessarily.
Right. But it is agonizingly hard to move, and yet you keep taking steps. That is perseverance. The root word literally implies seeing the task through to the very end.
So resilience is about surviving the sudden crash. Perseverance is about surviving the long grind.
Exactly. Resilience is saying, I survived the unexpected company layoff.
And perseverance is saying, I applied to 50 new jobs a week for 6 straight months until I finally got hired again.
Yes. And the source actually weaves these specific words into a narrative arc that I really loved.
It's almost like a little hero's journey story template for your own life.
It is. They say every language learner, or really every human being, has a personal aspiration.
Aspiration. It's not just a dry goal. It's a hope. It literally means a breath.
Right. And through intense perseverance, that dream slowly transforms into a reality.
And the final result isn't just simple happiness.
No, the result is a deep sense of fulfillment.
That perfectly ties it all the way back to the beginning of the list, the fulfilling day.
It really does. It shows how these words allow speaker to tell the story of their own life with genuine dignity.
Instead of just saying, I wanted to learn English, it was super hard. But I did it, and now I'm happy.
Which is grammatically fine.
But it's a bit childish.
It's extremely flat. But if you step up and say, I had a long-term professional aspiration, it required immense perseverance during the highly ambiguous phases of learning. But today the result is profound and totally fulfilling.
Wow.
Wow.
That sounds like the blurb on the back of an executive biography.
It sounds like gravity. It gives immense weight to your personal journey. And that is what C2 is actually doing for you.
It's not just describing what mechanically happened, it's describing the emotional significance of what happened.
Exactly.
Okay, we are finally arriving at the final section of the toolkit. We've done the daily upgrade, the intense emotions, the professional sphere, and personal growth.
Now we enter the realm of the poetic.
Sophisticated descriptions, the beautiful and the unspeakable.
This is where we honestly get to the very edge of what human language can actually do.
First up is a huge fan favorite word. I feel like everyone completely falls in love with this word once they learn it. Serendipity.
It is such a charming word. It just rolls right off the tongue, doesn't it?
It really does. Serendipity.
Yeah.
It means a pleasant surprise or something incredibly good happening unexpectedly.
The source examples are simple enough. Meeting an old friend at a random cafe or finding a great job opportunity by pure chance.
But the actual history of this word is totally wild, isn't it?
It is fascinating. It was coined by an English writer named Horace Walpole back in the 1700s.
Okay.
He wrote a letter to a friend about a Persian fairy tale he read called The Three Princes of Serendip.
Serendip being an old ancient name for Sri Lanka, right?
Yes. And in this fairy tale, the three princes were always making these great discoveries by accidents and sagacity of things they were not in quest of.
Accidents and sagacity. That is the absolute key to the words, isn't it?
It is the whole secret. Serendipity isn't just dumb, blind luck.
It's not just winning the scratch-off lottery.
No, it is finding something incredibly good while you are actually actively looking for something else entirely.
And having the wisdom.
The sagacity.
Right, having the sagacity to realize you actually found something valuable.
That is a crucial distinction. The invention of penicillin was pure serendipity. Alexander Fleming accidentally left a petri dish out in his lab. Mold grew on it, and it killed the staph bacteria.
A regular untrained person would have just seen a ruined dish and thrown it in the trash.
But he noticed it. He had the sagacity, the mental preparation to see the immense value in the total accident.
So when you say it was pure serendipity that we met today, you are attributing the event to a kind of happy fate.
But you're also quietly implying that you were open and ready to receive the universe's gifts.
It turns a random mathematical coincidence into a beautiful narrative.
It does. It makes the total chaos of the modern world feel somehow benevolent.
And then we have the final word in the main masterclass list, the ultimate C2 word, because it's literally the word you use when you run out of all other C2 words.
Ineffable.
Ineffable. definition.
Right.
So beautiful or powerful that words cannot possibly describe it.
The source lists great examples like staring at the vast night sky or witnessing a specific deeply moving act of human kindness.
But traditionally, this was actually a heavily theological word.
How so?
It was used mostly to describe God. You'd read about the ineffable name of God.
Right.
The fundamental idea was that the divine is so vast, so endlessly complex, that to put a human name on it is to unfairly reduce it.
To speak it is to limit it.
Exactly. So when we use it today in secular life, we are borrowing that sacredness.
We really are. The expert John actually mentions the profound irony here in the Masterclass.
We have invented a specific vocabulary word that literally translates to, I do not have the vocabulary for this experience.
But just having the word allows you to explicitly express that gap in your ability.
Exactly. Imagine you are standing at the edge of the Grand Canyon right at sunset. Or imagine you are holding your newborn baby in the hospital for the very first time.
If you look down and just say, wow, this is nice.
You are insulting the moment.
They're ruining it. Or if you say, this is really cool.
No, please no. Never say that.
But if you stand there completely in silence and finally just whisper, it is ineffable.
You are honoring the sheer magnitude of the experience.
You are telling the people around you, my language processing center has completely crashed because the sensory data input is just way too overwhelming to compute.
It relates heavily to the romantic concept of the sublime right.
Yes.
That intense mixture of awe, beauty, and mild terror that is just too physically big for the human mind to hold at once.
Precisely. Saying something is ineffable is the only truly respectful response to the sublime.
Well, that is profound.
See, you're using the toolkit naturally already.
It was completely inevitable.
To say.
So we've successfully covered the main list from the Masterclass. But before we wrap this up, the source material actually had a rapid-fire conclusion with a few bonus words.
Right, they threw in a few extras at the end.
But I want to make absolutely sure our listeners get those today just to complete the full set.
Right.
Because once you start collecting these high-level words, you kind of want them all.
You build a collection. Let's run through them quickly.
First bonus word, meticulous.
Meticulous. This means extreme attention to detail.
Very careful.
But not just careful, it's almost obsessed with the tiny things. A master watchmaker repairing a gear is meticulous.
An accountant during tax season better be meticulous.
Exactly.
Second bonus word, eloquent.
Eloquent. This means persuasive, highly beautiful speaking. The words just flow out like water.
An eloquent speaker doesn't say, or like every 3 seconds.
They command the language effortlessly.
And the final bonus word,
serene.
Serene, meaning calm, peaceful, totally untroubled.
But it's much deeper than just calm, right?
Yes, because calm can be very temporary. The wind dies down, so the air is calm. But serene implies a permanent state of spirit.
Like a meditating monk.
Or a very still mirror-like lake right at dawn. It is an unshakable peace.
And of course, we have all the main ones we already covered in depth today. Resilient, nuance, drastic, inevitable, astonished. It is quite an incredible list when you step back and look at it.
It is a truly powerful linguistic arsenal.
So let's zoom out for a second to close this out. What does this all actually mean for the listener?
The so what? Exactly the so what. We've learned the definitions. We know that feeling drained is a better description than just being tired. We know that an experience can be ineffable rather than just wow. But what is the actual transformation taking place here? Why should anyone listening to this care about upgrading from B2 conversational to C2 mastery?
The expert in the source material synthesizes it perfectly, I think. The core argument is that C2 fluency is absolutely not about knowing every single word in the massive Oxford Dictionary.
You don't need to know the official word for the little plastic tip at the end of a shoelace.
Which is an aglet, by the way.
Always showing off.
Hey, I can't help it. But you don't need to know aglet to be C2. C2 is simply about using the exact right word to express what is real inside of you.
It's about matching your language perfectly to your reality.
Yes. It's about fidelity. High-fidelity communication. And as Emma puts it in the class, this level of vocabulary literally expands your perception.
Expands perception. I mean, that is a huge claim to make.
It is a massive claim. But just think about it practically. If you now have the word serendipity securely in your mind, You might actually start noticing those happy accidents more often in your daily life.
Because your brain is now primed to look for the pattern.
Exactly. Or if you truly grasp the word resilient, you might begin to recognize your own internal strength when things get really hard.
Instead of just feeling like you're being beaten up by the world.
Right. It changes how you literally see the world around you. It gives you brand new lenses for gratitude, for deep vulnerability, and for intellectual clarity.
That brings us all the way back to that opening phrase. Emotional intelligence through language.
You are actively becoming a more emotionally intelligent human being because you can properly identify, you can name, and you can tame these incredibly complex internal states.
If you can name the demon, you can control the demon.
And if you can name the joy, you can actually keep the joy longer.
That is a really empowering way to look at studying vocabulary. It's not just tedious school homework anymore.
It's self-awareness. It's mental hygiene.
It really is. And the final takeaway that Emma and John leave their students with is simple but highly effective.
Stay fluent, stay calm, and stay curious.
Curiosity really does seem to be the primary engine driving all of this. You have to be curious enough about your own life to ask, is there a better, more accurate word for this feeling I'm having right now?
You have to cultivate a deep dissatisfaction with just saying things are good or bad.
And when you finally find that word, that specific, perfect word that clicks right into place in your sentence, like a puzzle piece.
It is deeply fulfilling.
I see what you did there.
I really couldn't resist bringing it full circle.
Well, this has been a truly fascinating deep dive. It has legitimately made me rethink exactly how I'm going to describe my day to my family when I get home tonight.
Hopefully the answer is not going to be that you are totally drained.
Let's hope I am elated. Or at the very least, pleasantly serene.
I think we should all aim for serene. Serene is a very sustainable way to live.
Before we go today, I want to leave you, the listener, with a final thought to mull over. We talked extensively today about how words like ineffable or serendipity help us accurately describe the world we live in.
The tools for the job.
Right. But here is something to chew on as you go about your day. If learning these complex words actually allows you to notice those magical moments more often in real time, does expanding your vocabulary actually physically expand your capacity to feel emotions?
That is the big, terrifying question.
Are we all currently walking around limited emotionally by the boundary of the words we know?
Wow. If I didn't know the word ambiguous, would I just be angrily frustrated my whole entire life instead of being intellectually engaged with the mystery?
Or if I didn't know the word ineffable, would I completely miss the sublime when it was staring me in the face? It's exactly like Wittgenstein said. The limits of my language mean the limits of my world. I think today's deep dive strongly suggests that if you push the boundaries of your language, you inevitably push the boundaries of your entire life.
I agree completely.
It's something to think about as you go out and try to have a fulfilling day. Thank you so much for joining us on this deep dive. We will see you all next time.
Stay curious.
Welcome back to the deep dive. I want to start today with a feeling that I think everyone listening has probably experienced, maybe even in the last week or so.
Oh, yeah. I know where you're going with this.
It's this very specific kind of frustration, right? You're standing in front of something just incredible. Maybe it's a sunset that looks like the whole sky is on fire, or maybe you're holding a newborn baby for the first time,
or you just heard a piece of music that completely wrecks you, makes you cry.
Exactly. And someone asks you, oh, how was it? And your brain just, it just flatlines.
It's the worst feeling. You search the database and all you come up with is, it was nice, or it's really good.
It feels like a total betrayal of the moment. You're seeing this absolute masterpiece in like 8K resolution, vivid Technicolor, but you're describing it with a black and white sketch on a napkin.
Yeah, a really bad sketch.
It's limiting. And not just socially. I mean, it feels like it limits the experience itself.
There is a lot of truth to that, actually. Ludwig Wittgenstein, the philosopher, famously said, the limits of my language mean the limits of my world.
Wow. The limits of my world.
Yeah, so if you can't describe it, do you fully possess it? That's the question.
And that is the terrifying question we are tackling today. We're doing a deep dive into a stack of materials from a highly specialized masterclass that is entirely focused on this exact problem.
Right.
It's designed to take English speakers who are functional.
Right.
You can order a coffee, you can write an email at work, and push them into the realm of the truly sophisticated.
But I do want to be clear right off the bat here, this isn't a grammar lesson.
Thank goodness for that.
Yeah, we aren't going to be diagramming sentences or arguing about Oxford commas today.
Good, because I would fail that immediately.
The source material calls this the lexicon of the soul, which sounds a bit dramatic maybe, but it's really accurate.
Lexicon of the soul. I like that.
It's about precision. It's about emotional intelligence, really. Having the tools to sound lucid and coherent and eloquent.
Yeah. So the goal here is to unpack words that describe beauty and passion, inner strength, wisdom. So if you were listening and you're tired of feeling like your vocabulary is a child's toy piano when you're trying to play a symphony, this is the deep dive for you.
And what distinguishes this material from just, reading a standard thesaurus is the intense focus on nuance.
Nuance, yeah.
It's not just about using a $10 word to sound smart at a dinner party. It's about capturing the specific texture of reality. There is a massive fundamental difference between saying something is bright and saying it is luminous.
We are definitely going to get into that luminous example because that one really clicked for me when we were prepping.
That's such a good one.
But let's start where the source material starts. Yeah. Section 1 is titled The Language of Awe and Light. And we kick off with a word that is ironically about the total failure of words.
The word is ineffable.
Ineffable. It even sounds lovely, almost like a whisper. Ineffable.
It really does.
But let's get into the actual definition here. The Masterclass defines it as something so beautiful, powerful, or emotional that words cannot describe it.
Right.
Now, I have to play devil's advocate here for just a second.
Sure.
Isn't that a bit of a cop-out?
How do you mean a cop-out?
Well, we're communicators, right?
Yeah.
Our job and the job of poets and writers is to describe things.
Sure.
If I look at the Grand Canyon and just say, oh, it's ineffable, haven't I just failed at my job? Isn't that just a fancy way of saying I don't have a big enough vocabulary?
That is a completely valid pushback. And if you use it for everything, if your morning coffee is ineffable or the traffic on the highway is ineffable, then yes, you're being lazy.
Right, you're watering it down.
You're diluting the currency entirely. But the source argues that true ineffability isn't a failure of language. It's a recognition of the limits of language.
So it's the difference between saying, I can't describe this, and this literally cannot be described.
Precisely. Think about the feeling of profound grief, or maybe a mystical religious experience. If you try to wrap that up in a neat little sentence like, I was very sad or I felt awe, you are actually diminishing the reality of the experience.
Oh, I see. You're shrinking it.
Yes, you are shrinking a multidimensional emotion into a flat two-dimensional sentence.
That makes a lot of sense, actually. It's like trying to fit the ocean into a teacup. The cup isn't broken. The ocean is just too big for it.
Exactly. The source gives a great example here. The beauty of the night sky was ineffable.
Okay.
By using that word, you aren't actually describing the stars, you are describing your reaction to them. You are surrendering.
Surrender?
You are admitting that the experience is vastly bigger than your linguistic faculties.
I really like that idea of surrender. It connects to the note here in the source that says, there are moments in life so ineffable that silence says more than speech.
Yes. In theology, they call this the apophatic tradition.
Apophatic.
Yeah, it's trying to describe God by saying what he isn't, because saying what he is would just be too limiting. And ineffable is kind of the secular version of that. It's a word that creates this sacred circle around an experience and basically says, this stays wild. I won't domesticate it with a label.
I won't domesticate it. That is a great way to put it. So ineffable is for when the subject is just too vast for words.
Right.
But what about when we want to describe the quality of something we actually can see? That brings us to luminous.
Luminous. This is one of my absolute favorites on the list because it deals with physics, metaphorically speaking anyway.
Okay, break that down.
The definition is glowing, shining softly, or full of light.
Okay, but how is that really different from bright? I mean, if I say the room was bright, everyone knows what I mean. Why do I need to upgrade to luminous?
Because bright is usually reflective.
Reflective.
Yeah, the moon is bright because the sun hits it. A mirror is bright. But luminous implies emission. It implies the light is coming from within.
Oh, I see. Like bioluminescence, like fireflies.
Exactly like fireflies.
Yeah.
The source gives the literal example that the city looked luminous at night. Think about that image. It's not the harsh glare of a spotlight. It's the soft, diffused glow of thousands of windows and street lamps, creating this haze of light against the darkness.
It feels softer, bright, feels like it could hurt your eyes.
Yes.
Yeah. Like high beams on a car. Luminous feels inviting.
And that carries over to the metaphorical use, too. The source example is her eyes were luminous with hope.
That is such a specific and beautiful image.
It really is. If you said her eyes were bright with hope, it sounds a bit manic, like she's had way too much coffee.
Right, high beams on again.
But luminous with hope suggests a deep internal reservoir of spirit that is glowing through the iris. It implies a soul.
Wow.
You wouldn't describe a fluorescent bulb as luminous, and you wouldn't describe a shallow person as luminous either. It requires depth to hold that kind of light.
That is fascinating. So ineffable is the vastness, luminous is the inner light. But let's talk about taste.
Taste.
And not just food, but taste in general. We often use words like great or amazing or perfect. The Masterclass suggests we upgrade to exquisite.
Exquisite. Now, this is a dangerous word if you don't use it right.
Dangerous, why?
The definition is extremely beautiful or delicate, but the danger is in the root of the word.
Okay, what's the root?
It comes from the Latin exquire, which means to search out, and it shares a root with the word excruciating.
Whoa, wait. I did not expect torture to come up in a discussion about beauty and taste.
Well, think about the intensity of it. Something that is excruciating is intensely painful.
Right.
Something that is exquisite is intensely beautiful. It suggests a beauty that is so sharp, so refined, that it almost hurts.
That completely changes how I view the word. So when the source gives the example the food was exquisite, it's not just saying, oh, this tasted really good.
No, definitely not. A burger at a tailgate party might be delicious, it might be satisfying, but it is rarely exquisite.
Right, because exquisite implies craftsmanship.
Yes. It implies that someone searched out the perfect balance of flavors. It implies a real delicacy.
And the other example they give is he has an exquisite understanding of music.
Right. That doesn't mean he just likes catchy tunes on the radio.
Yeah.
It means he hears the details, he hears the nuance, he appreciates the deep construction of the piece. It adds this specific touch of class because it implies that the observer actually has the sophistication to notice those tiny details.
So if you call a monster truck rally exquisite, you're being highly ironic.
Very, very ironic.
Yeah, okay. So we've had the soft glow of luminous and the refined detail of exquisite. Now we need some heat.
Heat.
The final word in this section is ardent.
Ardent. Defined as enthusiastic or full of intense emotion.
And the examples are an ardent learner or an ardent supporter of environmental causes.
This is another one where the etymology just completely unlocks the flavor of the word.
Oh, I love the etymology stuff. Lay it on me.
Ardent comes from the Latin ardor, meaning to burn. It's the exact same root as arson.
Okay, we were really going for the extreme imagery today. Torture and arson.
Well, emotion is extreme, right?
Fair enough.
Think about the difference between ardent and passionate. They are close synonyms in modern English, but passion comes from a root meaning suffering like the passion of the Christ.
Oh, interesting.
It's something that happens to you. You are overcome by passion.
So passion is almost passive.
Historically, yes, it was very passive.
Yeah.
But ardent is active. It is actively burning.
Okay.
If you are an ardent supporter, you aren't just signing a petition online because you feel a little bad. You are on fire for the cause. You are in the trenches doing the work.
It suggests a durability and an intensity that just saying excited doesn't capture it all.
Exactly.
So if I say to everyone listening, I'm an ardent fan of this deep dive, I'm basically saying I will fight for this show.
You're saying you have a burning flame of loyalty. Yes.
I like that. Listeners, please be ardent.
Yes, be ardent.
All right, let's shift gears here. We've established how to describe the world outside the awe, the light, the quality, the heat. Now the source material turns the camera around.
It does.
Section 2 is character transformation and the self. This is all about the words we use to describe people.
And this is where social context becomes absolutely crucial. You can actually insult someone by using a compliment incorrectly.
I think I know which word you're hinting at here.
Yeah.
The first one on the list is benevolent.
Benevolent.
Okay.
Definition, kind, generous, well-meaning.
And the examples from the source are a benevolent leader or a benevolent donation.
Right.
Now, honestly, if I turned to my best friend and said, hey, thanks for buying the beer, you were very benevolent, they'd look at me like I was crazy or like I was being a jerk.
And rightly so, because benevolent is a power word.
Break that down for us.
Benevolent breaks down into benevolent, meaning good, and volent, meaning willing, so willing good.
Okay.
But historically and socially, it implies a downward flow of power. A king is benevolent to a peasant.
Right.
God is benevolent to humanity. A billionaire is benevolent to a small charity.
So it implies a strict hierarchy.
It implies that you have the power to be not benevolent. You have the power to crush or to ignore, but you choose kindness from a position of superiority.
That's why it's so weird to say to a friend, we're supposed to be equals. If I call you benevolent, I'm acting like I'm above you or you're above me in a way that feels really distant and cold.
Exactly. It creates distance. The source says it represents moral beauty, but it's a cold, high-up kind of beauty.
It's like the kindness of a marble statue coming to life.
Yes. Perfect description.
So the rule of thumb is use it for leaders, use it for institutions, but maybe don't use it for your spouse.
Unless you're in the doghouse and they decide not to yell at you.
Yeah.
Then they are being quite benevolent.
Point taken. So that active choice to be kind from a place of power leads us to the next word, which is also about how we handle power. Magnanimous.
I love this word so much. We genuinely need more of this word in the world today.
Magnanimous. It means generous and forgiving, specifically toward a rival or someone less powerful.
Right. And the source example is he was magnanimous in victory.
Victory.
This concept goes all the way back to Aristotle. He talked about the great-souled man, magnum meaning great, and animus meaning soul.
Great-souled. So it's basically the opposite of being petty, isn't it?
It is the ultimate antidote to pettiness.
Give me a real-world example.
Think about sports. One team wins the championship. The other team is totally crushed.
Yeah.
It is very, very easy to be gracious when you lose because you want sympathy. You want to save face.
But when you win,
you have all the chips, you have the dopamine rush. The temptation is to gloat, to trash talk, to rub it in their faces.
Oh, absolutely.
To be magnanimous is to have a soul big enough to contain your own victory and still leave room for the dignity of the loser.
Wow, that is a tough standard to live up to.
It is remarkably difficult. It's true generosity of spirit. It's shaking the hand of the guy who spent the last 3 hours trying to physically tackle you and saying good game and actually meaning it deep down.
So benevolence is wishing good for everyone from a high place. Magnanimity is treating your defeated enemy with deep respect.
That's a great synthesis of those two.
Now, the thing is, most people aren't born with these qualities.
Yeah.
You don't just come out of the womb being magnanimous.
Definitely not.
You have to change. You have to grow. And that brings us to metamorphosis.
Metamorphosis, defined as a deep, often gradual transformation.
The source example here is traveling abroad caused a personal metamorphosis.
Right.
Now, we all learned this word in, third grade biology class, the caterpillar and the butterfly.
Right. But I think we really sanitize that image in our culture. We use metamorphosis as just a fancy synonym for improvement.
Like I went to the gym for a month and had a metamorphosis.
Exactly. And it misses the violence of the word entirely. Do you know what actually happens inside a cocoon?
I mean, the caterpillar grows wings, right?
No, not at all. The caterpillar dissolves.
Dissolves.
It releases enzymes that literally digest its own body. It turns into a liquid soup of cells. The entire old structure is completely obliterated before the new structure can be built.
Okay, that is absolutely horrifying.
Yeah.
And also fascinating.
So when we apply this word to a human being, a personal metamorphosis, we aren't just saying they got a fresh haircut and a better attitude towards work.
Right. We are implying a fundamental shift in their state of being. The old version of them dissolved.
Exactly.
That gives the word so much more weight. If you go through a massive life event, a divorce, or a huge career change, or a spiritual awakening, and you come out the other side, you aren't just a better caterpillar. You are a different organism entirely.
You are. You can't go back to being a caterpillar. The change is irreversible.
Irreversible. And usually that kind of extreme change allows you to do our next word, which is transcend.
Transcend. To rise above limits.
The examples are love transcends boundaries, or we must transcend negativity. This feels very much like a vertical word to me, like climbing a ladder.
It is vertical. The root skander means to climb, like the word ascend, but the trans part means beyond or across.
So it's climbing across a barrier.
Yes. So when you transcend something, you aren't destroying the thing itself. You're just getting above it.
So the barrier might still exist. The negativity is still there in the room. The boundaries are still on the map.
Yes.
But you are no longer contained by them.
Correct. That connects perfectly to the metamorphosis idea, actually. The caterpillar is limited by gravity. It has to crawl. The butterfly transcends gravity. It flies.
Oh, I love that. The gravity didn't go away. The creature just changed its relationship to the gravity.
Precisely.
I feel like I need to lie down and look at the ceiling for a while. That is deep.
Well, don't lie down just yet, because we need to talk about how you remember all this profound stuff.
Good point. Section 3. The architecture of memory and thought. This section really called me out personally because I realize I use the words think and remember for absolutely everything.
We all do it. They are the utility knives of verbs.
Yeah.
But they are blunt instruments. The source suggests we swap remember for recollect.
Recollect. The source says this implies remembering with clarity. Like, I recollect the day we met.
Let's go back to the roots again. Remember basically just means the opposite of forget. It can be a very passive thing.
Like a memory just pops into your head while you're driving to the grocery store.
Exactly. You didn't do anything. It just arrived. But recollect.
Recollicere.
Yes. To gather together again. It is an active process. It's almost archaeological.
Archaeological. I love that image. So instead of just sitting there passively, you are mentally walking through the archives of your brain.
Right.
You're pulling the specific file labeled the day we met. You're dusting it off. You're checking the date on the stamp.
You're gathering the scattered pieces. You're finding the smell of the rain that day, the specific song that was playing in the background, the exact color of the shirt they were wearing.
You are reconstructing the scene.
So it implies real effort. If a lawyer asks a witness on the stand, do you recollect the events of that night? They are asking for a deliberate reconstruction, not just a vague, fuzzy impression.
It signals to the listener, I'm about to give you a precise gathered account. And once you've recollected those pieces, you have to do something with them right. You could just think about them. But the Masterclass suggests we ponder.
Ponder. He pondered the meaning of her words.
I always picture that famous Rodin statue of the thinker whenever I hear this word. Fist on the chin, deep, intense focus.
That's a very appropriate image, but the word itself is actually related to weight.
Weight.
Pondus means weight in Latin. It's the same root as the word pound or ponderous.
So to ponder something is to weigh an idea.
Literally, yes. You are holding the idea in the palm of your mind and feeling its heft.
Is it heavy? Is it light?
Is it substantial? You cannot ponder quickly. You can think fast, snap judgments, but pondering requires a certain slowness.
It requires gravity.
That's a great distinction.
Like I'm thinking about what to have for lunch, that's fast.
Yeah.
But I'm pondering my entire career path.
Exactly. One is just a flick of the mind. The other is a careful balancing act.
And hopefully after you've pondered enough, you reach a state where you can embrace.
Embrace. Definition: to accept or welcome something fully.
We must embrace the unknown.
This is a very physical word at its core. It comes from brachium, meaning arm.
So to embrace is to literally take something into your arms, to hug it.
Yes. It's the complete opposite of keeping something at arm's length.
Right. If you just accept a situation, you might just be tolerating it, right?
You might be totally resigned to it. You accept that it's raining, but you aren't happy about it.
But if you embrace it.
If you embrace it, you are pulling it close to your chest. You are merging with it. It implies a real warmth and a willingness.
And this leads us to what I think is quite possibly the most beautiful sentence in the entire source material today. It combines these three verbs into a whole philosophy of time.
Oh, yes. Let's read that synthesis statement. Sometimes we recollect what we've lost, ponder what we can change, and embrace what we can become.
That right there is a roadmap for mental health.
It really is. Look at the timeline it creates.
Yeah, let's break it down.
Recollect what we've lost, that's the past, but again, it's not just passively dwelling on it, it's actively gathering the truth of what happened.
Right. Then ponder what we can change. That's the present. Weighing our current options with that slowness.
And finally, embrace what we can become, that's the future. Hugging the potential, bringing it close.
If you skip a step in that process, you get stuck. I mean, if you don't recollect, you're just in denial about your past.
And if you don't ponder, you're impulsive in the present.
And if you don't embrace, you're paralyzed by fear of the future.
Exactly. And to do any of that, to really genuinely do it, requires the final word of this specific section. Vulnerable.
Vulnerable. Open, exposed, emotionally honest.
The insight from the source here is being vulnerable takes courage.
Now, in a military or a tactical context, vulnerable is obviously bad.
Right.
If a fortress is vulnerable, it means the walls are breached. It means you can be actively hurt.
And that is exactly what it means for humans, too. The root is vulnus, meaning wound.
Wound.
To be vulnerable is to be capable of being wounded.
So why on earth would we want that? I mean, we spend our whole lives trying not to get wounded.
Because if you are completely armored, if you make yourself invulnerable, you cannot feel anything.
Oh.
You cannot connect with anyone. You cannot be touched. To embrace the future, like we just talked about, you have to take the armor off.
So vulnerability isn't weakness at all. It's the deliberate, conscious decision to lower the shield so that you can actually experience life even knowing it means risking a wound.
That is the only place where true authenticity lives.
That is a massive pivot point right there. We've gone so deep into the soft, squishy stuff, emotions, memory, vulnerability.
Yeah.
Now the source material pivots to the spine. Section 4, inner strength, logic, and resilience.
Because, let's face it, life isn't just about hugging the future. Sometimes the future punches you right in the face. You need steel.
Right, you need a backbone. Let's start with the direction of our gaze. We have two words here that people mix up constantly, introspective and retrospective.
This is simple geometry if you look at the roots. Spect means to look, like spectacles or spectator.
Okay.
Retro means back. So retrospective is looking back at the past.
Right, retrospect.
Intro means in. So introspective is looking inward at the self.
Okay, so the source example is she became more introspective after her journey.
Now, that doesn't mean she was just sitting around looking at photos of the trip, because that would be retrospective. It means she was examining her own internal landscape, asking things like, how did that trip change me? What are my deep motives now?
So introspection is the literal mechanism of self-awareness.
Exactly.
Now, what happens when you look inside and you realize you need to handle a massive crisis? The word is stoic.
Stoic. Enduring pain or difficulty without complaining.
He remained stoic during the crisis. Now, does this mean he didn't have feelings? Is he just a robot?
No, and that is probably the biggest misconception about Stoicism in popular culture today.
That they just don't care.
Right. The historical Stoics guys like Marcus Aurelius or Seneca, they felt profound grief, fear, anger. They were human.
But they handled it differently.
They refused to be enslaved by those emotions.
So it's not the absence of emotion, it's the strict containment of it.
It is the citadel of the mind. The weather can be storming absolute chaos outside, but inside, I am stoic. I am steady. The source says it represents quiet strength.
And if you are stoic, if you can somehow keep your head clear when everyone else around you is losing theirs, you have a much better chance of being lucid and coherent.
These are the twin pillars of clear communication, but they are distinct.
Break them down.
Lucid comes from lux, meaning light. It means clear and easy to understand. A lucid explanation literally sheds light on the darkness of confusion.
Okay, and coherent.
Coherent means sticking together. It refers to the actual logic and the structural integrity of a thought.
So can you be one without the other?
Absolutely you can. You can be highly coherent, but not at all lucid.
Give me an example of that.
Think of a very dense academic paper written by a PhD. The logic holds together perfectly. It's coherent, but it is so full of jargon that it's impossible for a normal person to read. So it's not lucid.
Okay, that makes sense. And what about the reverse? Can you be lucid but not coherent?
Think of a wild conspiracy theorist. They might explain their crazy idea very, very clearly, very lucidly. They might say the aliens are hiding inside the radio signals.
Very clear sentence.
Yes, but the argument completely falls apart logically. It doesn't stick together. It isn't coherent.
So the ultimate goal of the advanced speaker is to be both. You want to shine a bright light, which is lucid, and build a solid structure, which is coherent.
Correct. To do that effectively in the real world, you really need to understand nuance.
Nuance, a subtle difference in meaning or tone.
The source states very plainly understanding nuance is key to fluency.
This is all about the gray areas. Right?
It's about the texture of reality. Mad is a very blunt word. Frustrated, irritated, livid, resentful, those are nuances.
Right.
They are completely different shades of the same emotional color.
It's basically the difference between a sledgehammer and a scalpel.
That's a great analogy.
A sledgehammer gets the job done, but it makes a massive mess. A scalpel is precise. It does exactly what it needs to do and nothing else.
And reality itself is nuanced. Black and white thinking is usually factually wrong simply because it ignores the nuance of the situation.
Okay, understanding all this, the nuance and the introspection, the logic, it takes work. It's not easy at all. Which brings us to what the source calls the engine of success. Two words that sound like they belong engraved on a medieval family crest.
Tenacity and fortitude.
Tenacity and fortitude.
They are the engine. Tenacity is persistence. It's the absolute refusal to let go.
Like a bulldog.
Exactly like a bulldog with a bone. You can shake it, you can pull it, you can yell at it, but that jaw is locked. That is tenacity.
And fortitude.
Fortitude comes from fortis, meaning strong. It is courage in the face of adversity. It's the pure ability to absorb pain.
So tenacity is I will not quit. Fortitude is, I can take this hit.
Yes, tenacity is active, holding on fortitude is passive endurance. And the source makes a very strong point here. Fluency is built through tenacity and fortitude.
It really is. I mean, learning a language, or honestly learning any complex skill, is deeply humiliating.
It's terrible for the ego.
You make mistakes constantly. You sound stupid to native speakers.
Right.
And that requires fortitude, the ability to just take the hit to your ego and not crumble.
Right.
And then you have to wake up and do it again every single day for years. That requires the tenacity.
It's not just about being naturally smart. It's about being incredibly tough.
Speaking of that brutal learning process, let's look at Section 5, Strategies for Mastery. The Masterclass gives us a specific 3-step method hidden inside 3 verbs.
Step 1 is emulate.
Now, that doesn't just mean copy, does it?
No, definitely not. Copying is mechanical. A photocopier copies a document.
Right.
To emulate is to strive to equal or even surpass an example. It implies a deep admiration for the source.
So when you emulate a native speaker or a master of a craft, you aren't just parroting their sounds or their physical movements. You are actively trying to adopt their entire mindset, their rhythm, their spirit.
Exactly. You are internalizing their approach. And that leads to step 2, cultivate.
Cultivate. Developing with care. Like a garden.
This is the absolute perfect verb for complex skills. You don't build patience like you build a brick wall.
Right. You don't just stack it up.
You cultivate it. You water it. You weed around it. You wait patiently for it to grow. It implies organic, slow growth over a long period of time and constant, gentle attention.
And then step 3, immerse.
Immerse. To surround oneself completely. To drown, but, in a good, productive way.
The example is immerse yourself in English daily.
Look, if you want to learn to swim, you can sit on the edge and read a textbook about fluid dynamics, or you can just jump in the deep end of the pool.
Immersion is jumping in.
It forces the brain to adapt immediately to the environment.
And if you do all this, if you emulate, cultivate, and immerse, what is the final result? What is the holy grail we are chasing here?
The result is eloquence.
Eloquence.
Yes.
Speaking with grace and persuasion.
His eloquence moved the audience. This is so much more than just grammatical accuracy.
Right.
A computer code is 100% accurate. Eloquence is uniquely human. It comes from loquility, meaning to speak. But it implies a fluid flow.
It connects the speaker directly to the listener's heart, not just their logical brain.
Beautifully put, yes.
It's the difference between merely delivering raw information and delivering a profound experience.
Exactly.
Well, we are heading into the final stretch here, Section 6, Philosophical Wisdom and the Big Picture. We've covered how to describe the outside world, the inner self, the mechanics of the mind, and the struggle of learning. Now we look at existence itself.
The real heavy hitters of the lexicon.
Let's talk about time again. We have 2 words that feel similar but aren't, ephemeral and transient.
Both mean temporary, yes, but they have very different philosophical flavors.
The quote from the source is, "Moments are ephemeral, but memories stay."
Let's look at ephemeral. It originally referred to a mayfly, a specific insect that literally lives for only one single day.
One day.
So it refers to things that are short-lived, fragile, and often extremely beautiful precisely because they are so short. A soap bubble, a spectacular sunset, a specific laugh shared with a friend.
And transient.
Transient implies a movement. Passing through a space, you have a transient feeling. Or a transient guest at a hotel. It's moving, it's not staying.
The source makes a point to note the bittersweet nature of these specific words. Just acknowledging that something's ephemeral makes it instantly more precious.
The Japanese actually have a philosophical phrase for this mono, no aware the pathos of things.
The pathos of things.
It's the deep awareness that the cherry blossom is profoundly beautiful because it falls.
Right.
If the sunset stayed in the sky forever, we wouldn't even stop to watch it. Its value comes entirely from its ephemeral nature.
But living in a world where literally everything is disappearing constantly, where everything is ephemeral, that is highly stressful, how do we cope with that reality? We need equanimity.
Equanimity, calmness, and internal balance under extreme pressure.
Handling criticism with equanimity.
This connects right back to being stoic. Equa meaning even, and animus meaning soul or mind, even-mindedness.
So you don't get too high when things are going great, and you don't get too low when everything falls apart. You maintain your center of gravity.
It is the absolute mark of a mature mind.
I feel like that is the ultimate goal of adulthood. Just maintaining basic equanimity while the whole world spins out of control around you.
It's the best we can hope for, really.
And how do we relate to other people in this chaotic spinning world? The source says we need the rigid structure of integrity and the warm connection of empathy.
The twin pillars of character. Integrity comes from integer, meaning whole or complete.
Like an integer in mathematics, a whole number.
Exactly. It means you are structurally sound. You are the exact same person in the dark alone as you are in the light with an audience. You don't crumble under pressure.
And empathy.
Empathy is feeling into another person, not just sympathy, which is standing safely on the shore and feeling bad for the person drowning in the river.
Right.
Empathy is getting in the freezing water with them.
And the source draws a really grand conclusion here on what fluency actually fundamentally is. It's not just passing a C2 language test.
No, the text says true fluency is the internal balance of equanimity, the structural honesty of integrity, and the human connection of empathy.
That completely changes the definition of fluency for me. It's not just about mastering a list of vocabulary words. It's about being a fluent human being, flowing through a difficult life with balance and kindness.
That right there is the lexicon of the soul.
We have two final words to wrap up this entire philosophy. They describe the mechanics of how things actually happen to us in life. Serendipitous versus inevitable.
Serendipitous, a happy accident, finding a $20 bill in an old winter coat. Or, finding this deep dive when you're actually looking for a cooking podcast.
We welcome all serendipitous listeners. Glad you stumbled in.
It's the universe winking at you. But then on the other side, there is inevitable, certain to happen, no matter what.
The source says growth is inevitable if you practice.
That's the cold, hard physics of learning. If you have a tenacity, if you carefully cultivate the skill, if you fully immerse yourself, the result isn't a serendipitous gamble.
All right, you don't have to just cross your fingers and hope you get better.
No, it is inevitable. The math works out.
That honestly takes so much of the anxiety out of the learning process. You just focus on doing the inputs, and the outputs take care of themselves eventually.
Precisely. Control what you can control.
Well, we have covered a truly massive amount of ground today. My brain is actually physically full at this point.
It is definitely a lot to ponder.
Oh, look at you using the vocab in casual conversation. Let's do a rapid-fire review to see if we can string this entire narrative together.
Let's try it.
Because as we look back at this lexicon of the soul, I'm realizing there is a distinct story arc here. It's not just a random alphabetical list of big words.
It really is a structured toolkit for a very specific kind of lived experience. Think about it. We started with ineffable and luminous.
Right.
That's about waking up to the outside world, seeing the beauty of it clearly.
But once you see the world clearly, you have to turn and look inside. That's where introspection and being benevolent come in. You fix your own character first. You undergo a painful metamorphosis.
And that deep internal work requires the steel we talked about, tenacity, fortitude, being stoic. Because the world is absolutely going to test that character.
Yep.
You have to be magnanimous when you win, and you have to be resilient when you lose.
You have to accurately recollect the past, ponder the present, deeply and totally embrace the future by being vulnerable.
And the final end result of all that work, it's not just having a big, impressive vocabulary to show off. It's reaching equanimity. It's moving through a highly transient world with unwavering integrity.
And ultimately reaching a state of true eloquence.
That's the promise of the material, isn't it?
Yeah.
The words themselves aren't the final destination. They are simply the vehicle to get you there.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So for everyone listening right now, here is the challenge for your wit. Don't just memorize these definitions. Don't just write them on flashcards and drill them. Pick just one of these concepts. Maybe it's serendipity, maybe it's luminous.
Or ineffable.
Pick one word and wear it like a pair of glasses for a single day. Look at your morning commute, your family, your dinner through the specific lens of that word. See how it changes what you naturally notice.
And see if it changes you. Because as the source suggests, language is basically the software code of the human mind. If you rewrite the code, you rewrite your reality.
That is a very provocative thought to leave everyone with. If you change the word problem to puzzle, or if you change pain to metamorphosis, do you actually change the physical experience itself?
I really think you do.
Something to ponder. Thanks for diving deep with us today. Stay eloquent out there.
Goodbye, everyone.